We are currently living through a profound chemical shift in the human brain that very few people are willing to discuss openly. It is not merely a shift in our behavior or a generational difference in how we choose to communicate. It is a fundamental alteration in the biological way our brains process reward, satisfaction, stress, and connection. When you receive a text message or when your phone lights up with a notification, a chemical is released in your body. That chemical is dopamine. It is the exact same chemical that is released when we smoke cigarettes, when we drink alcohol, and when we gamble. In highly controlled doses, dopamine is wonderful because it makes us feel good, motivated, and driven to achieve goals. However, we know from decades of scientific study that dopamine is highly addictive and destructive if left unchecked. We have strict age restrictions on alcohol, cigarettes, and gambling for a very specific and important reason. We understand that a young and developing mind is not yet strong enough to handle the seductive power of these chemicals. We know that if an adolescent is exposed to these addictive substances too early, the wiring of their brain changes permanently. Yet, we have no age restrictions on social media or the possession of smart devices. We have effectively thrown open the liquor cabinet to our children and told them to help themselves whenever they feel bored or anxious. We have said to an entire generation that if adolescence is stressful, they should numb themselves with this digital device. This is why we are seeing an entire generation growing up with a chemical dependency that they do not know how to break. When they feel stress, they do not turn to a person for comfort. They turn to a device for distraction. They turn to social media, which offers temporary relief, but leaves them feeling more isolated and empty in the long run. This is the biological trap that we have inadvertently set for them, and it is tightening every single day. It is crucial to understand that this is not a character flaw in our children or our young employees. This is a biological reaction to an environment that we allowed to be built around them without any safeguards. To understand the depth of this issue, we must look at the timeline of human development and how trust is formed. When we are very young, the only approval we need is the approval of our parents. As we move into adolescence, that need shifts dramatically towards the approval of our peers. This is a frustrating transition for parents, but it is necessary for the child to learn how to survive in the broader tribe. It is during this highly stressful period of anxiety and uncertainty that they are supposed to learn to rely on friends. They are supposed to learn the messy, difficult, and slow process of building trust with another human being face to face. But instead of learning to lean on people, they learned to lean on dopamine hits from a screen. The device became the pacifier for their social anxiety, replacing the need for difficult conversations. This connection has become hardwired into their neural pathways during their most formative years. So now, as they enter adulthood and face career stress or financial stress, they lack the coping mechanisms to deal with it. They do not know how to sit with discomfort without reaching for a distraction to numb the feeling. This is why we are seeing rising rates of depression and suicide that are historically unprecedented in modern times. We are seeing accidental deaths from overdoses rise because the pain of reality is too much to bear without a filter. This biological addiction is compounded by a parenting strategy that, while well-intentioned, has had disastrous consequences. We told an entire generation that they were special simply for existing. Regardless of their efforts or character, we told them they could have anything they wanted just because they wanted it, creating a false sense of entitlement. We gave them medals for coming in last place, to protect their feelings from the sting of failure. But science and psychology tell us that this actually devalues the medal for the person who came in first. Worse, it makes the person who came in last feel embarrassed, because they know deep down they did not earn it. This strategy created a false sense of reality that shatters the moment they enter the real world of adulthood. They graduate from university and get their first job, and suddenly they realize they are not special at all. Their new boss does not care about their feelings in the way their parents did. They do not get a promotion just for showing up on time or doing the bare minimum requirements. In an instant, their entire self-image is fractured and their confidence collapses. So you have a generation with lower self-esteem than previous generations, entering a world that is tougher than they expected. And because of the dopamine addiction, they do not have the tools to look someone in the eye and ask for help. They turn to Instagram and Facebook to check how their life measures up against their peers. But what they see is a curated, filtered, and perfect version of everyone else's life. They see their friends traveling, getting promoted, falling in love, and looking perpetually happy. They look at their own lives and feel inadequate, left behind, and deeply depressed. They become really good at showing you that life is amazing, even when they are miserable inside. We look at the social media profiles of kids who have committed suicide, and they often look happy and successful. We had no clue they were suffering, because they have mastered the art of filtering their reality to please the algorithm. This creates a dangerous cycle of isolation where no one admits they are struggling for fear of breaking the illusion. Then we must consider the factor of institutionalized impatience that defines this era. This generation has grown up in a world of instant gratification, where waiting is seen as a system error. If they want to buy something, they go to Amazon and it arrives the next day, sometimes the same day. If they want to watch a movie, they do not check the newspaper for times, they just stream it instantly. If they want to watch a TV show, they do not wait a week for the next episode. They binge the entire season in one night. If they want to go on a date, they do not need to muster the courage to say hello. They just swipe right. Everything they want, they can have instantaneously, without effort or risk, except for job satisfaction and strength of relationships, which follow a completely different set of rules. There is no app for deep, meaningful human connection that stands the test of time. There is no app for career fulfillment or building trust within a complex team environment. These things are slow, meandering, uncomfortable, and messy processes that cannot be rushed. Because they have never had to wait for anything, they view this slow process as a failure or a waste of time. I meet brilliant, ambitious young people who want to quit their jobs after only 8 months. When I ask them why, they tell me they are not making an impact or changing the world yet. They treat their career like a summit they should be able to helicopter onto, bypassing the climb. They see the mountaintop, but they do not understand the necessity of the climb itself. They do not understand that the struggle of the climb is where character is built and resilience is forged. It is in the slow, tedious days that trust is formed between colleagues and true competence is developed. But because they are impatient, they disengage or they quit before the magic happens. This creates a wandering generation that moves from job to job, never finding the fulfillment they crave. They are looking for a dopamine hit in their career. But a career is built on oxytocin and serotonin. Oxytocin and serotonin are the chemicals of safety, love, loyalty, and long-term bonding. They take time to build, and they cannot be hacked with a swipe, a click, or a filter. So we have a generation entering the workforce with a severe deficit in patience and social skills. And then we put them into corporate environments that are not designed to help them succeed. We put them in companies that care more about the quarterly numbers than the human beings doing the work. We put them in open plan offices where everyone has headphones on, further isolating them from human contact. We have leaders who do not understand that their job is not to manage tasks, but to manage the people who do the tasks. This combination of biological addiction, failed parenting, and a cold corporate environment is a perfect storm. It is leading to a crisis of mental health that we are only just beginning to understand the magnitude of, but we cannot simply blame the generation that is suffering for a problem we helped create. We cannot just say they are entitled millennials and walk away from our responsibility. We have a moral responsibility to intervene and help them navigate this dangerous digital landscape. We have to help them break the chemical chains that are holding them back from their potential. If you are a parent, you must be the one to set the boundaries, no matter how unpopular it makes you. You cannot expect a child to have the willpower to fight a team of engineers at a tech company designed to keep them hooked. You must create dopamine-free zones in your house where human connection is the only option. There should be no phones at the dinner table, ever, under any circumstances. This is not a suggestion. It is a requirement for the survival of the family unit and the social development of your children. When you eat dinner, you're teaching your children how to interact with humans in a real-time environment. You are teaching them the art of small talk, which is the absolute foundation of deep talk. If the phone is on the table, even if it is face down, it sends a psychological signal that they are not the most important thing in the room. We also need to look at the bedroom, which has become a bunker of isolation. The phone should not be the last thing you see at night and the first thing you see in the morning. If you wake up and check your phone before you say good morning to your partner, you have an addiction. You are prioritizing a chemical hit from a stranger over the person lying next to you. Buy a standard alarm clock and charge your phone in the living room or the kitchen. Your kids will scream and fight you on this, but you must hold the line for their sake. You are fighting for their mental health and their ability to connect with the world around them. For the leaders and managers in the workplace, your responsibility is equally huge and urgent. You are inheriting a workforce that is coming to you with a deficit in social aptitude. You cannot simply fire them for not having skills they were never taught by their parents or schools. You have to become the mentor they never had and guide them through the process of human connection. You have to teach them how to have a difficult conversation without hiding behind an email or a text message. You have to create environments where phones are banned from meeting rooms to force interaction. When you walk into a meeting and everyone is on their phone, there is no relationship building happening. There's no casual chatter about the weekend, the weather, or the game last night. That casual chatter is where trust begins to form in the cracks of the workday. It is in those small moments that we decide if we like and trust the people we work with. If we remove those moments, We are just a group of individuals working in the same room, not a team. We need to force these interactions if necessary until they become natural again. We need to teach this generation that the best things in life require patience and endurance. Love requires patience. Job satisfaction requires patience. Joy, unlike happiness, requires patience and stability. Happiness is a spike of dopamine. It is fleeting, temporary, and addictive. Joy is a state of mind that comes from long-term security, connection, and service to others. We are trading joy for cheap happiness, and the cost is our mental stability and our future. The data on the interference of smartphones with our cognitive capacity is alarming and undeniable. Studies show that the mere presence of a smartphone reduces your available cognitive capacity significantly. This is true even if the phone is turned off and face down on the desk in front of you. Your brain is actively working to ignore it, which drains your energy and focus. This is why we feel exhausted even when we haven't done physically demanding work. We are in a constant state of low-grade anxiety and continuous partial attention. We are never fully present with the people we love or the work we are trying to accomplish. This fragmentation of attention prevents us from entering a state of flow. Flow is that magical state where time disappears and we do our best, most creative work. You cannot achieve flow if you are being interrupted by a notification every 15 minutes. You cannot achieve deep work if your brain is craving the next dopamine hit from a like or a comment. So, the solution requires a conscious, intentional, and often painful detoxification process. It requires us to embrace boredom again as a valid and necessary state of being. Boredom is actually a creative state where the mind wanders, dreams, and solves complex problems. If you fill every second of downtime with scrolling, you are killing your creativity before it begins. You are preventing your brain from processing the emotions and information of the day. We have to relearn how to be alone with our thoughts without panicking. We have to relearn how to observe the world without needing to capture it for an audience. This is not about being anti-technology or rejecting the modern world. Technology is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for destruction. A hammer is great for building a house, but it is terrible if you use it to hit your thumb. Right now, we are hitting our thumbs over and over again and wondering why it hurts so much. We need to restore balance to our lives and our relationships. We need to find the equilibrium between the digital world and the physical world. This starts with the leaders of our families and the leaders of our companies. We must model the behavior we want to see in the next generation. If you are a parent and you are always on your phone, you cannot tell your kid to get off theirs. If you are a boss and you answer emails at midnight, you are telling your team that this is the expectation. We have to have the courage to disconnect in order to reconnect with each other. The stakes could not be higher for the future of our society. We are risking the mental health and the future potential of an entire generation of human beings. But it is solvable. It is solvable if we are willing to make the hard choices and stick to them. It is solvable if we stop prioritizing convenience over deep connection. It takes effort to put the phone away when you want to check it. It takes effort to listen to someone without distraction when you are tired. It takes effort to build a culture of patience in a world of speed. But the reward is a life that feels real, grounded, and deeply fulfilling. The reward is relationships that can withstand the storms of life and work. The reward is a career that brings genuine satisfaction, not just a paycheck and a title. We have the power to change this trajectory if we act now. But we have to acknowledge the chemical nature of the problem first. We have to stop treating this as a simple habit and start treating it as the addiction that it is. Only then can we begin the slow, steady climb up the mountain together. And when we get to the top, we will look around and realize that the view was worth the struggle. And we will realize that we didn't need to take a picture of it to prove that we were there. We just needed to be there, fully present, with the people who climbed with us. That is the human experience we are fighting to save, and it is worth every ounce of effort.